Welcome back to the Toppy Blues, your source for all things Everton. I am Connor Williams with the Opposition View, so joined by Sam Davis of Back of the Net, the Bournemouth podcast and YouTube channel. First of all, mate, welcome to the channel. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks very much. Really pleased to be here, buddy.
So we're going to be talking a little bit about about the game. Obviously, much more for it means a lot more for us than it does for your lot. But first of all, give me your thoughts on Bournemouth this season, because obviously you had the managerial change. Gary O'Neill, it's come January time. I think there was like rumours that you were going to go after the likes of Benitez and Knutson. You've decided to stick, which at the time, bit of a gamble. Give me your thoughts on your season.
It's been all right. Well, I mean, last season we got promoted. We sort of stumbled over the line with Scott Parker, but then didn't start amazingly well. We did win on the opening day of the season against Villa, but then we had three losses, which we would have expected. It was the manner of that Liverpool 9-0 that I think was the nail in the coffin. But not only that, the way he threw the players under the bus and publicly said to the board, I need help here. So he was, fans were losing faith with him a little bit. The board certainly were, just because of the fact he was, publicly criticising them. And therefore we needed to make a change. And Gary O'Neill, the caretaker, was put in charge. And to be fair, he did quite well. We went on an unbeaten streak in the Premier League for longer than any other clubs. We got some really good results in there. And then along came the World Cup. And at that point in time, we still didn't know what was going to happen with the managerial situation. We were linked with names like Bielsa, Knutson, as you said. And despite having conversations with those people, we opted for the guy that was already in charge, the caretaker manager, which a lot of Bournemouth fans thought was a bit of a strange decision amid a takeover. We had a takeover in December with lots of money coming in, the likes of Michael B. Jordan getting on board and all this kind of stuff. So to hire the caretaker, it didn't seem quite right. It's like, giving the sort of keys of a Lamborghini to someone that doesn't have a driving license, almost. Not that we're a Lamborghini, we're probably a little bit less than that, but that's how it felt. When he got the job in January or December, we had a terrible start. Christmas and into January was awful, and a lot of fans were questioning the appointment, but he's learning on the job, and he did learn on the job because we started to pick up results, and it culminated really into a really good April for us. Some big wins: Liverpool 1-0, the 3-2 at Spurs, which was massive, and that seemed to sort of galvanise the squad, and we are where we are. Everyone tipped us down at the start of the season, and to be safe for 4 games to go, we're absolutely delighted.
Yeah, I saw the Bournemouth post clipping the pundits, YouTube personalities, everybody saying Bournemouth done.
Yeah.
It was a great way to respond to your safety. I like that. I must admit as well, you were one of the ones at the start of the season I had to go down. I wasn't very keen on Scott Parker, and then when you put O'Neill, I thought still a chance. But yeah, so speaking of O'Neill, now that it's the end of the season, he's got you Premier League safety. Do you think he stays on now and he's earned his right to stay on, or do you think it's sort of now it's the summer, get somebody in, they've got a summer to rebuild?
I think he will be in next season. I think whilst some of his footballing decisions on the pitch weren't overly pleased by many Cherries fans, especially during that January sort of run where we were absolutely awful. I think that since then he's proved that he probably does deserve a chance. He has been learning on the job, but there have been some really good performances from the side, and he's also made some some decisions within game that have been almost masterstrokes. So he deserves the right. I think by keeping us in the Premier League, he's activated a 1-year extension on his 18-month contract. So that means we have got him for a minimum of 2.5 years, of course, half of which he's already served. So I think he will be there. But the new ownership, they want success for the club, and it's mad because, like you said, everyone wrote us off, and due to our run at the end of this season, they probably will write us off again next season, of course, with the obvious choices of picking the ones that have been promoted from the Championship. So I'm a bit concerned that our success is going to be defined every season about sort of disproving the odds. Whereas I just want us to, move forward. And there have been mentions by our ownership about, top 10 finishes and all that kind of stuff. I think we need to temper those emotions a little bit. But I'd be happy with a sort of, being a mid-table side for quite a while. Look, we're a small club. We've got plans for new training facilities, new stadium, etc. That's gonna That's going to take a while, but Premier League football will help that happen. And whether O'Neill's the man, I don't know. I think they'll probably give him until Christmas, kind of reanalyze where we are. If they're happy, they'll keep him on. I think it's probably going to be working like that from now on.
Yeah, it sounds like probably the best way to go for it. Like you said, it feels a bit harsh after getting Premier League safety to say right on your bike sort of thing.
Mm.
So that's probably the best way forward. Give me your thoughts on Everton this season. Did you expect us to be down amongst the bottom with yous? And did you see us going for, like you said, safe with 4 games while we're still in the mess?
It's mad, really, because Everton is a massive club, and you were down there last season. You're down there again. I think obviously there's this kind of situation with you guys at the moment with this sort of new stadium that's being developed. Looks like even already I've seen videos of like drone footage and stuff, and it looks like it's going to be an incredible facility. So I'm sure there's been a bit of juggling, but even still, it just feels like a few decisions that have been made haven't been quite right. I think that under Frank Lampard, I'm not really sure how good his managerial CV is really, but obviously he did the job for you last season, perhaps earned the right to, take you into this season. But when we played you guys, it was twice in the week in the Carabao Cup and then the league. It was 4-1 in the Carabao Cup, and it was a really poor performance from Everton, and I expected more. I knew that you were down there, so we'd have a chance of getting a result, but it was a stroll really, and then the 3-0 in the league as well, which was yeah, absolutely bizarre, really. It's on paper you've got some decent players, but it's just not working. I thought the appointment of Sean Dyche was quite savvy at the time, and then on the first game in charge, I mean, we were standing on the train platform on the way to Brighton, and you were the lunchtime kickoff against Arsenal, and that's so Sean Dyche to win that 1-0. And so Everton, and at that point in time, we were in the mix. And we were thinking, oh my God, he's going to rescue it like them, isn't he? But it hasn't quite clicked as much as I thought it would have for him. And, whether he's the man to take you forward, I'm not quite sure. But it's certainly been an interesting season. You can't say that it hasn't been entertaining like for Everton fans over the last few years, but I don't think they should be in the situation that they're in now. And to be to be thinking that you still got a chance of going down on the final day for a club like Everton, to me is just absolutely mad.
Yeah, it's certainly something I've not can't remember being in this position in my lifetime, and I don't think I want to again. It's
No.
very nerve-wracking on the final day. I don't know how clubs do it.
Mm.
Yeah, you mentioned Dyche. His reign's been interesting as an Everton fan. It's been interesting. It's been ups and downs. Um, I think injuries don't help. Dominic Calvert-Lewin being
True.
out. But Everton fans sort of are questioning, his decision along certain players. As a fan from the outside, did you expect maybe him to have a better effect than he has done?
Probably did. I thought he would galvanise what he's got. He's a manager that at Burnley didn't have incredible resources, and he had what he had, and he made the best use out of it. But whereas I don't quite feel as though he's done that at Everton. I think there have been a few games where you've seen the Sean Dyche effect, and then you've seen these mad results like at Brighton. Like what happened there? Unbelievable. I mean, Brighton were good actually, but you were just absolutely clinical. And it's there are little signs that Sean Dyche, has potential, but I found that there have been some performances that he himself would probably look back on and think that's not a Sean Dyche performance. So it's going to be interesting how it pans out for sure. But I think his reign's been pretty hit and miss for Everton, really.
Yeah, it's certainly hit and miss. I think if he keeps us up, almost a bit like Gary O'Neill, I think we're going to keep him
Mm.
just for the sake of he's kept us up. And then I think it'd be interesting to see how he moves on next season with a summer of offloading, most importantly, and then bringing players in. Speaking of bringing players in and taking players out, give me your thoughts on Bournemouth's recruitment. You obviously, like you said, come January time, you were around it, amongst it. It was a big time, January. We failed to recruit properly or at all, actually, which is
Mm.
awful. Clubs around us, yourselves, Leeds, all recruited. Give me your thoughts on your recruitment because there's a couple of players I think there's one, Otara, that we were looking
Yeah.
at that you managed to steal. So give me your thoughts on that.
I think that was possibly helped. The signing of him has helped because our ownership, they're trying to create this multi-club model, and they've got a stake in Lorient in Ligue 1, which made it very much easy for us to, for us to have him, because effectively we were buying off ourselves in many ways. And it's really weird, by the way, that, like AFC Bournemouth are the top of this kind of multi-club pyramid that they're trying to build. Like, why are we top? It's mad, but we are where we are. Dango Ouattara has been great. He's a tricky winger. He's fast. He's really springy, actually, so he wins a lot of headers. But he's quick. He started off really well. Got a number of assists from the right flank. Has popped up with a crucial goal. That one at Spurs is absolutely huge. He was one of a few signings that we bought in. We bought in like Darren Randolph as a kind of spare backup keeper. Antoine Semenyo from Bristol City, yet to hit the ground running, really. Did score recently in a 4-1 against Leeds, but it's very difficult when you've got Dominic Solanke. He just works so hard. And whilst Dominic hasn't got the numbers, he's integral to the way the team plays, because he comes very deep, he picks up the ball, etc. Matthias Viña on loan from Roma with an option to sign. He's been really good, actually, down the left flank. I think he's better as a wing back, better offensively rather than defensively. He scored a couple of goals for us. We've got Ilya Zabani from Dynamo Kiev for around 20 million as well, who's going to be a right prospect to centre-back for us. And also Hamid Traore, who's now a permanent signing from Sassuolo in Serie A. And he might be involved at the weekend, actually, and he's just coming back from injury. But he's had limited minutes, but there's a real prospect in him too. So, yeah, pretty good. We shipped a load of our players out that were kind of from the Championship that couldn't really get into the Premier League, so most of them have gone out on loan. But in terms of our business, it worked for us, put it that way. And I'm just delighted for Gary O'Neill and everyone connected with the club that we managed to get over the line so early.
Yeah, looking at it, obviously not so much in the aspect of Matthias Viña, but there is a trend of the younger players, and obviously not Darren Randolph, but that's a backup keeper, so you can almost allow them being older. But there is this sort of younger players, bit of potential. It almost looks like you are fully sort of going around that route of these players should have Premier League potential to be Premier League players. Do you expect that to follow again in the summer? Obviously, more of an upload, shipping those Championship players, like you said, down to the Championship and buying more potential Premier League standard, if not Premier League standard players already.
Yeah, I think so. There's we're certainly looking abroad more than we ever used to. I think previously we always looked to sign kind of premium young Championship English talent and then sell them on in the Premier League, which has usually worked for us. Case in point, Tyrone Mings, we bought him for 8 million at the time, sold him for 22 to Villa, barely even played for us. But I think, yeah, we are going to be looking to the continent more. I think our transfer activity in January demonstrated that. There were a few signings that didn't get over the line. Nicholas Jackson, who's at Villarreal, he's done really well, actually, for him over the last few months. We're desperate for like an out-and-out scorer. I think he scored like 5 or 6 in the last month or so. He's been like scoring for fun over there, but unfortunately he had a medical over here, so he was due to sign, but he failed the medical and as a result didn't sign. But I think probably we're kicking ourselves now because his value will have gone a lot higher over the last month or so. But I think that's probably the way we're going to do things. And on the whole, our recruitment as a club is actually pretty savvy and pretty good. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen in the summer because our owner promises us that he's going to be spending. So yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what happens.
So obviously, like we've said, this season is a very good one for you. Give me the best player for Bournemouth this season.
It's one of two. Neto in goal that took over from Mark Travers, who conceded 9 at Liverpool, which is never a good look. But yeah, Neto's come in. Barcelona backup keeper, but he's been superb. He was made club captain almost instantly. I think his ability to speak different languages to all the different players certainly helped. His shot stopping's been great, but more than that, I think Phil Billing, the attacking midfielder for us, he's been great. He's been chipping in with goals now for us. He looks very pedestrian sometimes when he like saunters around the pitch, but he actually works so hard. Like the stats usually show that he's run the most, and he pops up with a goal or two, and he's integral to the way we play. Whether we'll keep hold of him of him in the summer, I don't quite know. But yeah, I think Phil Billings probably shades it as our player of the season so far.
So now I'm going to ask you the opposite, which is the player that it says worst, but I'm going to go with most improve, could improve.
Lewis Cook, probably our midfielder. I think eh, he was a young prospect for us, joined from Leeds, won the under-20 World Cup, and even got a cap for the England men's team, first team. Not really. He did have a bad injury, which the club documented, but he's not really got back to his levels really. And we signed Joe Rothwell from Blackburn Rovers on a free towards the end of last season, and he's made the play, like he's made that position his own now as a sort of defensive midfielder. And Lewis Cook's really struggling to get back into the side. The talent is undoubtedly there, but he just needs to demonstrate it a little bit more. I've got a feeling he probably will play though at the weekend due to Joe Rothwell's injury, so expect to see Lewis Cook on the pitch.
Well, speaking of players on the pitch, give me the one we should most look out for. Who's the danger man in this Bournemouth side?
I would say Dominic Solanke, but that'll be obvious, maybe, just because of his work rate. But I'll go for the player we mentioned earlier, Dango Ouattara, who I expect to be in. He might even play left side. Sometimes he's right, sometimes he's left. But either way, really tricky. He's got a turn of pace and just a directness about him, which if I was defending against him, I'd be quite scared about. So yeah, probably Dango Ouattara.
Just thinking then of a forward. Obviously, you've got Solanke, who's former Liverpool. You've got Atara, who we were looking at. I'm just glad you don't have Junior standing the ass anymore. It just screams that 3 goals from 3 people Everton have been close to at some point.
Yeah.
It's typical football.
He's got, you know what, his record against Everton is just mad, really, when you look at it. And they put on Twitter, they put a goals compilation together of all his, goals against Everton. And there've been quite a few. Obviously, the first one's in that famous 3-3 that we had at Dean Court, where you thought you'd won it. Was it Ross Barkley, I think? And then the junior Stanislas, pops up with a header. But you know what? This is probably his last chance to perform for Bournemouth, because he's had so many injuries over the last few seasons, and he's been injured for most of this season. He has been training. I would love him to be named on the bench just to send the frighteners up, a few Everton fans, but I can't see him being involved, to be honest.
Yeah, he's one that it just like Callum Wilson for Newcastle. There's another one that no Everton fan wants to wear in the starting lineup. So now we've done your danger man. Give us somebody that you're a bit wary of that we have that you think might cause you trouble.
Yeah, really interesting. I mean, I think your sort of what I think might be your front three, if you can call it front three, with Iwobi, Gray, and maybe McNeil. Obviously, it would be Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but obviously not going to be available. But like either of those three, really. They're good players. It just hasn't sort of clicked for them as much as it perhaps should have this season. But yeah, I mean, I could go through and sort of like most of your players, I think will be involved, like Guehi, Decore, Anana as well, and all three of which I think will probably start as well. So I don't know. I just think you've got a series of hard-working players. You might not think that because it's sort of based on where you're at in the league, but I think on their day, any one of those names that I mentioned could change the game for Everton. So I think in some ways that's good that we haven't got one particular player that we're sort of looking out for. I think it's going to be the Dyche factor. It's going to be the fans. It's going to be the whole team as a collective that are going to get Everton over the line. Don't necessarily think it's going to be an individual that's going to have a worldie of a game. I think, it's just going to be a really dogged and disciplined performance, and who knows what will happen.
Yeah, it's gonna be tense. It's gonna be tense inside that stadium. I just hope and pray it goes our way, because the mood will automatically switch if you manage to score one. It will be incredibly horrible. Give me your likely lineup then. You've mentioned injuries a couple of times. So who do you think will start for you this weekend?
Okay, so I think we play 4-3-3. So it'll probably be Neto in goal. From right to left, it'll be Adam Smith right back, Ilya Zabani. It could be Marcus Senesi next to him. There have been pictures of him on Instagram in the sunshine. I mean, it could be down Bournemouth Beach, but it looks a bit more exotic than that. So hopefully he's not been sent on his holidays earlier. If it's not Senesi, it'd be Mepham. But I'm going to go I'll say Senesi. Left back, Lloyd Kelly. In midfield, you'll have your sort of two deep-lying midfielders in Jefferson Lerma, possibly his last game for Bournemouth. Lewis Cook, Phil Billing, just a bit more advanced than that. And then on the right-hand side, Ryan Christie, the Scottish player, he's done really well for us recently. Dango Watara on the left, and then Dom Solanke leading the line up front.
It sounds like a good lineup. It also sounds like you very much mirror what we're seeing Sean Dyche play. Obviously, everyone assumed he plays 4-4-2, but we don't have one good striker at the minute. Never mind two. So we're playing almost similar 4-2-3-1/4-3-3, but drop back a little bit with the most advanced centre mid having freedom to reach up to the attacker. So it should be a very interesting tactical fight. That should be.
For sure.
Give me your score prediction.
I think the balance of probability suggests that we won't lose again. Well, obviously, you can lose 4 games in a row, but our performances haven't been that bad, and I just think we might be able to get a draw. So obviously, if that's the case, you've got to make sure that Leicester, you don't win. But I'll tell you what, the first goal in this is absolutely key. If you score the first goal, you'll win the game. If we score it, then it's in the balance. Our best chance is the fact that you got to come out at us. So I think it's going to be an entertaining sort of game till the end. But I'm going to be fair and go for 1-1.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping for a win just because, like I said, I think we could lose and stay up if the other two teams lose, but I don't see both of those teams going into the last day and losing. One of them's going to pick up a win from somewhere. The final question before we end, we always end on a random one, and this for the last time this season. What's your go-to takeaway order on match day?
Oh, go takeaway at the stadium, or are you talking pre-match? Or
we'll go at the stadium.
At the stadium, if I was going to have to, you know what? Whilst you can't beat a pie, they're really fiddly to eat. So I'm just going to go for a burger because you don't have to use a fork. The pastry, you don't have the issues with thick pastry or whatever. So yeah, burger for me, probably with a bit of cheese on top. Job done.
Nice. Sounds good. It sounds good. That is all the questions. I want to say thank you once again for joining me, mate. It's been a pleasure to speak to you.
No probs. Yeah, nice to talk to you.
That is everything, guys. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and comment down below your thoughts for the game. And you can go check out Sam and Back of the Net. Their links will be in the description as always. And I'll see you guys very soon.